As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Abide in my love. If you keep my commandments, you will abide in my love, just as I have kept my Father's commandment and abide in his love. Just as I have kept these things I have spoken to you, that my joys may be in you, and that your joys may be full. This is my commandment, that you will love one another, as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do what I command you. No longer do I call you servants, for the servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all that I have heard from my Father I made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you, and appointed you that you should go bear fruit, and that your fruit should abide. So, whatever you ask the Father in my name, he may give it to you. This I command you, to love one another.
Okay, so today we've been talking a lot about God's love and filling up on that love. So normally when I think about filling up, I think about pancakes at Big Biscuit. You know, the kinds with the swirl, the cinnamon swirl in them. Oh my gosh, so good. But this isn't the kind of filling up that I'm talking about, obviously. Filling up, what is it really? So filling up is abiding in God's love and letting God's love guide you and letting him help you make decisions. You have to let him into your life so that he can help you make decisions. So why is that filling up so important? Why can't we just go and help everyone as much as we want? Well, filling up is what lets us be able to help others. You can't just keep pouring and pouring and pouring out. You have to fill up, because if you pour out a glass of water, it's going to get empty. And so you have to fill up sometimes. It's great to help others, but you have to fill up that glass first. So how can we fill up? Well, we can fill up through mission work, and we can fill up through things like we've been doing for the past 2 weeks, like Family Promise, and we can fill up through Link, going and helping through those sorts of organizations so we can gain that experience and fill up. Filling up can also help us sustain our own livelihoods, and it can help us help others do the same. It's important not only to fill up through those organizations, but it's important to take care of yourself. We really get caught up in that. Help others. We gotta help others. We gotta help those organizations, but we forget ourselves in that kind of mode, I think, sometimes. And so if we have to remember self-care is an also important factor. And it can make our quality of life greater. It can help you build experience in that, so you can fill up, kind of like, Mr. Miyagi from Karate Kid. That guy's pretty wise. So in the spirit of filling up, we've been going on camp trips every year, or every other year, I guess. We call them camp trips because that's where we do our filling up, and we don't do as much mission work. We do mission work every other year, and then in the years that we don't do mission work, we do the camp trips. And that's where we do most of our filling up, because it's important, like I said, to get that filling up before you go out and help others, because if you don't fill up, and it's harder to do that pouring out because you don't have as much in there. So specifically during these camp trips and throughout the year, not just at the camp trips, we've been learning Bible verses and we've been reflecting on them. And that's an important part of that is not just memorizing those Bible verses, but also remembering that we have to reflect on those Bible verses, because just memorizing them doesn't really do a whole lot. A lot of people go to church every week, and they can recite Bible verses by memory, tons of them. But some of them who can do that, they wouldn't be able to tell you anything about why that's significant, because they haven't done that reflection stage, they've only memorized them. And so that's an important factor, is to be able to realize, why is this important? What, in the context of our lives, why does this matter? And so at these camp trips, we do morning devotionals. Every morning we wake up early, 8 o'clock in the morning usually, and we give Bible verses. We're given Bible verses, and we fill out kind of like a sheet, kind of like a little survey about what we learned. And we talk about exactly what I just said, why it's important in today's world, what about these Bible verses is relevant, and how we can use that to help pour out and not only fill up, but also pour out that love that He's given us, that God has given us. And so filling up isn't just with God, as I've said. Filling up is with yourself. Self-care is very important. You can't just, hanging out with praying and all that is great, but you really need that self-help, that hanging out with your friends, going out with your friends and having a good time, building that life experience so that you can not only have that experience with God, but have that experience with God through your friends. And so these experiences are important to me because they've helped me to help others. That's what filling up is about. It's about filling up so that you can take what God has given you and let that out to others. And that's why I love filling up, is because I get the chance to help others. And that's why it should be important to you guys too.
Good morning. So I'm going to be talking about pouring out. So if I can get anybody looking at the front cover of your bulletins to flip it over. Right? It's like a magic trick. So my favorite part about youth group isn't the games. It isn't the food. It's not even about learning about God. It's about what comes after all of that. It's going out on youth trips and spreading God's love that I've been taught. Making connections and friends and even someone's day are what makes youth group something I look so forward to. Why is it so important? Youth trips are an opportunity to meet God's children, lots of them. Not one of them's on the same journey as the other. And we all get to go out into the community together and give our help. Trust me, if you want to show true love, there's nothing more telling than going to a stranger and offering them a hand, whether that be with a mop, a broom, or just your time. You'd be surprised how far your time and your efforts go. Last year, while doing mission work in Minnesota, I was tasked with gardening people's lawns. We met a new person every day. My favorite part wasn't tugging at weeds. It was the people I helped. I had the opportunity to talk with one of the people we helped. I talked about my interests and what my life was like in school, and she talked about her interests and about her family and how her life was going. Knowing why I did that work was the most meaningful part of the work I did. I enjoyed it because I could give my time and energy to sharing God's love, not because I owed someone something or I expected something in return, but because I was sharing God's love. Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you for telling the story once again of the importance of both filling up and of pouring out. It's the story of this table, is it not? For as we remember the story of Christ and what happened at the Last Supper, we realize that it's an example of both filling up and pouring out. How often we saw Christ do exactly what Reed talked about. How often he went up into the hills to pray, to take the time to abide with his Father. How often did he hang out with his friends and party a little bit too much for the Pharisees? How much did he focus on filling up? And then he came to the table, a moment of celebration with his friends. He prayed with them, he talked with them, he laughed with them, but he knew it was a moment of pouring out. He knew it was a moment in which he would pour out not only his love, but even his life. He knew that in this table and the moments that would come following, he would pour out all that he was. As Isaiah shared with us this morning, that love, that relationship was so important to why Christ came in the first place, but for all that Christ was about. For him to pour out who he was for the world. And so this table is an example for us, right? For how we too can fill up and pour out. How we can come to this place to receive that love, to fill up with that love, to remember that love. And how we can come here to prepare ourselves to share the good news, to share that love with all those who we meet. And so you're invited to this table. You're invited to come and be a part of this story. You're invited to be filled up. Literally, not that the bread's going to really make us full, but it's a symbol of how we are filled by that love. And it is an example of how we will be poured out as love offerings to the world. The hands and feet of Christ, we sometimes say, from this place into the world.